Alright, so as you can see, got the Blazer back into the garage, and I've got something that I know me and my brother have wanted to do for a really long time. We've been thinking about it, like, wouldn't that be cool? And I don't know, we have never seen anyone do anything like this. So we're gonna try it, and we're gonna let you guys know how it goes. But I'm gonna show you what our plan is. So this is a 360-degree camera kit for your car. So you can have, you know, your front view, back view, and side views, and, you know, reverse camera and everything like that. It's all 1080p. It's super cool. And another super cool thing about this is I'm going to be able to pull video off of these cameras and use it in my videos as well, which I think if I can get that figured out, that's going to be really cool as well. So I have seen these before, and, you know, modern cars have stuff like this. It's nothing new, but what we're trying to do with it is actually give you, you know, more visibility. When you're in there and you're strapped in, you can't really see what's in front of you or what's behind you. You know, it's really hard when you're in your harness. So we're gonna mount one of these cameras up in the front to kind of, instead of pointing it completely forward though, we're going to point it kind of down so you can see the front axle and your tires, so you can see, you know, if you're going to hit your diff on a rock, or if your tires lined up with where you want it to be. Then we're going to also have one pointing straight back like a normal backup camera, you know, just for when you're backing up, you can have a camera pointing backwards. And then we're also thinking about having one kind of underneath showing like the rear drive shaft and the rear diff and the rear links and stuff like that. So when you're going through a boulder field, you can kind of pick out your line a little bit better, because you can see if you're going to hit your drive shaft or if you got to be over, you know. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm really excited to try it. And like I said, I've never seen anyone do this, so what could possibly go wrong? So kind of explain a little bit better on what we're thinking along the lines of this. So normally you'd kind of mount your front mounted camera, you know, in the front, so you can kind of just see if you're going to run into somebody. But that's not really what I'm worried about in this. I'm more worried about, you know, down here, the stuff you can't see, because I'm not really worried about it, but it'd just be cool to see it, you know. So we're thinking about mounting this camera somewhere along the lines of right here, and if Braden goes over to the screen, you can kind of see what that's going to show you. So you can see your diff down here, and you can see your front tires, both of them, and out in front of you a little bit. So this is all blind spot when you're inside the vehicle. You can't see any of this. So now, you know, if you're coming up to a thing and you don't know if you're going to hit your steering arm or something, you know, you can just look up at the screen and be like, oh, you know, I need to be over a little bit so I don't mess this up. And yeah, alright, so I started pulling the interior apart to find places to mount the screen and the computer and everything. And then I got to thinking it's probably going to be easier if I just keep it on the bench like this and then start mounting cameras, mount the cameras one at a time, and then I'll figure out how to mount this, and then I don't have to, you know, just be easier route cabling, and instead of having to route a cable through everything to the camera, I can go from the camera to the screen. I think it'll just be easier that way. So I started working on this. This one's for the front camera. I just built this little wedge that's going to go up in there to hold it at the right angle, just out of some cardboard. So I'm going to cut this out of a sheet of metal, and I can start mounting the first camera, and then I think I'm going to go onto the back camera, and then I got two more that I got to figure out where I got to mount. But I'm going to start making this out of some steel. Alright, so as you saw in the time lapse, I got the front camera mounted. It's all in there. I screwed it in and everything, so that's exactly where it's going to be. And this is the view you get. It's probably not going to come out too well just because it's showing a screen on a camera, but try to get that glare out of there. Yeah, whatever. But you can see front 2 tires right there. You can see the axle. So, you know, if you're hung up on your diff, you'll know. You can kind of move around it. And you can see that's me right there, moving around. And you can see where I'm standing here. So I can see myself here, right there. So, pretty good view angle, and it's, you can't even see it. It's right there. So there's like no chance I'm ever gonna hit that because it's, you can't even see it here. It's flush with it. Like, it's way tucked up in there. So I'm super happy with that, how that one turned out. And this is kind of what I got going for the rear. If I switch to the rear view, you can see the heater kicked on. But you can see in the rear view right there. So right back here is like the back of my Blazer. So you just barely can't see the back of my Blazer. And you see out, it's got some kind of guidelines on how, yeah, I don't know, it seems pretty good. My tires are about here. You can't see the tires in the video on here, but you can see back. It's going to help really well with reversing. So I'm going to show you kind of what I'm making over here. So it's right there. I got a little cardboard cutouts made. So this one's not as tucked up, but I really wanted for the reverse camera to kind of show more behind me, because in front it's just showing my blind spot, but in the back, you know, pretty much everything back here is a blind spot. So I got it set up right there, and like I said, you can kind of see up to about this point. You can see the tailgate a little bit. So I think that's going to be super helpful, and I don't think it's going to get hit because I got the receiver hitch here, and you know, I really don't hit my rear bumper that often because of where my tires are. Like, there's not even really any scratches down here, so I rarely hit this anyways. And then hitting something up there, I don't think it's ever going to happen. So, but I'll still have to watch for it. But the cool thing is, it's a camera, so if I'm about to hit it, I can know and stop. So, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the other 2 cameras yet, but I'm going to start making this bracket and getting this one mounted up, and then start playing with ideas for the other 2 cameras. Alright, so I got my cardboard design that I made up earlier, and I just traced it out with some steel. So I'm going to get it cut out and then bent up and get it to fit in the back, and then I can mount the rear camera. And then, like I said, we got to find out where to mount the other 2. So let me get this cut out. Alright, and there it is. Just a little piece. Goes right in there. And I'll just weld that in, and then the camera can mount right to there. Okay, so that one's all installed. I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna hit this. I think it's tucked up out of the way good. So, I mean, I'd have to be doing something pretty dang stupid to hit that, so I think we're good. Alright, so as you guys saw, we got the front camera and the rear camera installed, and I was gonna start working on the side cameras, but I think it's gonna be cool to get all this stuff mounted, and I don't think it's gonna be too big of a deal to mount these afterwards. So I got the front and the rear one on. Those are the main ones anyways. So I'm gonna work on getting the screen mounted and the box mounted and all that stuff. And I got my brother here to help me because he's good at that stuff and I hate this stuff. So he's gonna tell me where to put stuff and I'll put it there. Okay, so I think we're gonna mount this screen right here above the rearview mirror. And then my switches were mounted right here, but I'm gonna remount them over here, so it'll kind of be like that. So I think that's a good spot for it. It's not gonna be in your way, like in your vision or anything. And I think just being here is more in the way, and so right there. And then when the reverse cam's on and everything, you know, you got your rearview mirror and your camera and everything, so you're gonna be looking up here anyways. So I think that's gonna be a perfect spot for it. So this little mounting bracket, we're just gonna mount this to there, something like that, and then attach this and start running cables. I think we're gonna mount the box somewhere in here, like in the glove box or something. So all this stuff's pulled apart right now because I think we're gonna try to tap into the radio wiring. Not 100% sure on that kind of stuff yet, but wiring is not my expertise, so.
Alright, Owen tasks me with mounting the box. I'm not really sure exactly what this thing is, but it's got the USB, or not USB, yeah, USB to
It's HDMI.
So oh, is it HDMI on both ends?
Yeah, it's micro HDMI.
Okay.
To normal HDMI. So this is basically,
like, that looks smaller than an HDMI, but
you know, just like the brains, the computer.
Gotcha.
And then it's also got a USB here. So we'll route this somewhere so we can put a USB stick into there if we want to record video. And then power wires. And then these go to, like, if your blinker's on or you're in reverse, it'll switch the cameras to. But
what's this trigger wire?
We won't need this. This is for the 6-inch screen model.
Okay.
It doesn't use HDMI, it uses this, and you need the trigger wire. But with the HDMI, it's already built in. So
cool. So we'll just use this reverse light.
Yeah.
Right there.
And my blinkers don't work, and I'm not going to use them rock crawling anyway.
So basically use these 3 and then that one right there. So it's 4.
Yes.
Cool.
And then this we also need to mount somewhere. This is for the remote, so it's just a little thing to use the remote for. Yeah.
Cool.
To change modes and everything manually. Alright, so there it is. Get this out of the way. So I got the screen mounted right here and the switches remounted right next to them. So I think that's going to be really good. There's a light right here. That's why the reflections are so bad right now. And up here, another thing is it's not going to get like glare on it as easily as if it was mounted to the dash. It'll be up here kind of in the shade more. So I think that's going to be a really good spot for it. So Braden's working on this stuff. We're going to mount it in the glove box. So let's get the time lapse going again and show you what we got when we're done. Alright, so hanging out with my nephew for a little bit, but got this hooked up so when I turn the power on, you can see the screen will come on.
That took a while to come on.
It's not actually on. So, it's on because it's got power, but in a minute it'll turn off. Tested this. So it went off. So it's on, it's got power and it's off right now. So as soon as I turn the key on, it gets accessory power and it'll be on for good. And then as I turn the key off, it'll shut off again. So it's all wired up right. So now we just gotta get the cameras wired into it and all this wiring cleaned up, and then we should be good. It's only the front and back camera right now, but we'll get the left and right ones on in a little bit, so keep working. Alright, so as you can see, I got all the wiring done for the front and rear camera. I got the reverse light wired in so that when you put it into reverse, the reverse camera comes up, and when you put it back into drive, all 4 of them show up. So now I'm going to be working on getting the side ones mounted, and after a lot of consideration, I was thinking it'd be cool to, oh, that's dirty. I was thinking it'd be cool to kind of have one underneath, you know, showing like the rear drive shaft and the rear axle and stuff like that. But I don't know. I have 4 of them, and when all 4 of them are up, it just bothers me that I would have 2 that are different. So, you know, front, back, underneath, and then I'd have a random one, which I don't love the idea of that because of my OCD. So I think I'm just gonna mount them down, tucked up onto the frame rail, aiming down on each side, so I can have 2 side views. And I think it'll be more useful than one underneath, because when you're strapped into your harness, you know, you can kind of have a view to your side, see what's going on the sides of you, because you can't really lean out when you're strapped in, and you can't really see this side at all when you're driving. So I think that's what's going to be the most useful, and it's going to satisfy my OCD. So I'm going to get those mounted up to the frame. I'll just do it off camera because it's going to be tucked way up in there and it's going to be hard to film. I'll show you guys the placement and all that stuff when I get it all finished up. I'm going to get all this stuff buttoned up because that's all boring crap. Get the radio back in, and then I'll show you guys it all working, and maybe even go take it for a drive and see how it works in the real world. Alright, so as you can see right there, that is where the camera is. It's pretty tucked up out of the way, and I think I'm going to add another bar going right here just to make it have a little bit more protection. I'm going to do that a little bit later because right now we're going to go test this thing out and see how these cameras look when we're driving it. And I'm also going to try pulling video off of the cameras. So if I can get that figured out, I'll show you guys what that looks like too, and you'll get a better look at what it looks like from the camera's perspective, because videoing a screen, it really doesn't work very well. So I'm going to see if I can get that to work. But got my sister over there, so in her snow clothes, and we're gonna go have a little bit of fun in this.